What do you want to do? Do you want us to look at some work and talk about it? How it came about, that kind of thing? Yeah? Okay. Let's do this. So this one, first one, it's a small series, but it was for a Condé Nast Traveler magazine. It was about a young woman and a young guy who traveled to southern India specifically to eat. So they just went there and they just ate and ate and ate and wrote about everything, all the people and what they saw and what the food was so wonderful and what it was made of and that sort of thing. So this was the opening. They call it an opener. It introduces the story. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to answer a couple things at once. One, be general. Two, be specific. The general is this is about India. It's India on the plate and emphasis on southern. And then I did a lot of hand lettering for all the different dishes and you know, that sort of thing. And the series is here. So this is just kind of a fun, they eat fried dough a lot, I guess. And apparently when you throw it in, it's about the size of a little ping pong ball, and then it comes out the size of a softball when it's done. So I thought that was a fun idea. Coconuts are a big deal in the cuisine. So I tried to go from something really general and conceptual to something more specific about it in particular, but still conceptual. My work is all conceptual based. Style to me is something that I arrived at later, and I always start with the idea. The idea is the most important thing because it's content. This is a political one for University of New Hampshire, and they wanted me to do a piece about the current economic situation. So I thought about, you know, trying to tame the bear market, and had some fun with it. I don't know if you can see it, but on your right side, there's a little guy back there really trying to get the bull going again. And originally I had the bulls upside down, dead with his eyes out, and they said, no, you can't do that. That's really bad. So I just had fun with housing and people kind of trying to coax this guy away and that sort of thing. And originally, and I liked it better, he was pink. They couldn't handle that, so I had to change it. So those last two are commissioned pieces, and this one is one that I try to experiment with things and also try to address more cultural things that are happening, not just on an assignment based. So I started thinking about, you know, all these people that are getting laid off, and I thought of a big guy with fly swatters, because it seems like every day I hear about someone else who lost their job, you know, that kind of thing. And I think this is an interesting one to talk about in terms of another application other than editorial, because there's some new venues for illustrators where there's a correlation happening between motion and stagnant illustration. Illustration being the content, the idea, coupling with motion to make something new. So there's animation, there's motion graphics, and the people that are more on the technical side of animation and motion graphics are always looking for content. And so if you're a conceptual illustrator, that's what you furnish, is content. So I thought even this would be kind of fun to just have these people flying around as a little short animated thing. That's an example of, if you can think in terms of motion, there could be a payoff there as another venue for you. This is a recent one for a magazine article on North Dakota, and it was all about the resilience of North Dakota during this recession. And it's not particularly conceptual in that sometimes I've got little things that sort of pay off an idea. The idea here was, if you look in the back, there's an oil rig, and just the fact that the bison, which is part of North Dakota heritage, is this big, huge, proud, refuses to go down type of an animal. And I thought, in and of itself, that's kind of an interesting concept. So that's how that came to be. This is one I did last week for myself. Uh-oh, broken link? No, good. Captive audience. I just thought it was fun to, just came into my head about an idea of the fish doesn't have a chance, you know? I thought it was fun. And in this case, I tried something different where I started with this, was just a little pencil sketch, and I was playing around the other day thinking, wonder what I could do if I really simplified things and actually called it a day. And I thought, I'll throw some color on there, see what it looks like, and I thought, well, that's kind of interesting, but I kind of like taking it and being more refined with it. The other one, the bottom one, could be interesting though, again, if you apply it to some other venue. Yes?
What's the process you go through to come up with your conceptual idea?
Oh, that's a good question. And I think that might be the hardest thing to teach a person. You can teach technique, you can teach someone how to draw better, maybe, and I think all those skills, technical skills, are really, really important, because in the end you got to pull it off. You may have an idea, but you got to make it into something that's acceptable. The idea part, I don't know. I've always sort of thought that way. What I have a tendency to do a lot is when I read the text, I use a lot of words. I just write little words down, or little anecdotes or metaphors or things like that. And then it just sort of comes together. And sometimes I have a real hard time when that happens. I just try to get away from it a little bit, not try so hard, or just sometimes I just start doodling around little things, and then that gives me an idea for something else. And I don't know. It's just kind of in there. I don't know. I just kind of go through. I mean, there's one, I don't even know if it's in here anymore. I think I used it on that poster, the matches. Is it?
Do you ever have to just walk away altogether and then come back?
Yeah, sure. There's one in here I wanted to show you, because this one. I really like this, and the reason I like it is because it's such a not obvious solution to what the problem was. This was for a magazine that was like nuts and bolts, finance stuff. And it was about how these corporations have these insurance policies where they insure all their directors and officers so they don't get sued when they say things or do things. And so I was thinking, now how am I going to do this? Because some stuff is really hard to translate into a picture. And so I was toying around and doodling around and doodling around, and just as I was reading, I wrote this little phrase about getting burned. No one wants to get burned. And I thought, there's a cool idea. And so I thought of all these matches together that have the potential to ignite and everyone get burned. So nobody wants to be next to the guy who just kind of went on fire. And they look at him a little askance, like, oh, what did he do? That kind of thing. And it worked really well. It's totally out of context, yet it worked.
Yes.
How long does that take you to come up, say, with your concept to your finished art?
It really depends. The matches one that I showed you, I got that idea in 2 minutes. And then the rendering was pretty simple, really. I mean, it's a simple piece when you look at it. Other times it takes me a while to think of the ideas, and it's not unusual that I have maybe 5 assignments at once with deadlines that are stacked up. And and that's good in a way, because you get in that mind frame of trying to solve, and you're kind of there and you're working and all of that. It's almost harder when you haven't been working for a while and then you get something and you're staring at this piece of paper. So it really varies. And then also the timeline sometimes dictates. Sometimes I procrastinate and wait to the very end. Sometimes I get it done. But I mentioned the New York Times. I do work for them, and the op-ed page is the worst of all, because they're 3 hours ahead. So I'll get a call maybe 9:00 a.m. my time, and they want to see ideas in 2 hours, and they want to finish by 3. So I say, you mean 3 my time or 3 your time? And so I don't have much time at all. And those are the ones that whenever the phone rings and you look at the number on there, it always says 111111111. It's like, crap. Should I answer or not? Do I really want to put myself in that space?